thing about losing your mind is that you might not know you've lost it. And then again, are you really gone? Or is it all in your head? Today we'll be taking a look at the top 10 Descent into Madness films. And remember,
we all go a little mad sometimes.
Our list kicks off with number 10, The Brilliant Lighthouse, second feature from eccentric horror director Robert Eggers, along with the which this movie, like many Descent into Madness films, blurs the line between delusion and reality. The Lighthouse follows the story of two men with questionable backstories who are begrudgingly paired together for an undetermined amount of time and left to their own devices on a bleak, desolate, remote lighthouse island with scant resources and miserable conditions. Reluctant subordinate Robert Pattinson, confined with his often insane and unpredictable counterpart, played with absolutely maniacal energy by the always brilliant Willem Dafoe, clash as tensions between these two miserable bastards build, and they both unravel under the weight of the elements, cabin fever, and their own lies. Fraught with unexplained phenomena, contention, and copious amounts of alcohol, the two go into the depths of depravity that they will never return from. Brace yourself and set sail for The Lighthouse. Number 9, Black Swan. Maestro of the bleak and master of the uncomfortable, Darren Aronofsky returns to form in the psychological shitstorm that is Black Swan. After keeping his demons at bay to some extent with The Fountain and The Wrestler, Aronofsky attempts to send us away emotionally exhausted once again in this intense story of obsession, perfection, and desperation. Nina, played against type in a hauntingly beautiful performance by the always talented yet usually bubbly Natalie Portman, wants nothing more in life but to be a successful ballerina dancer, having dedicated her entire life to the craft under the thumb of her overbearing mother, whose own dancing career was cut short. Nina's lack of confidence due to her mother's resentment and pressure is amplified when new dancer Lily arrives at the ballet company they both attend, threatening the lead role in a production of Swan Lake Nina so achingly desires, as she does not quite embody the darkness the role requires. As the film goes on, Nina spirals deeper and deeper into desperation as the dark side she never knew she had is slowly awakened and completely takes over. The film slowly descends into the type of hellscape fever dream that will leave your jaw crashing through the floor and your stomach turning. This movie is fucked up. With brilliant sound design, intense close-ups, a beautiful score, and unsettling imagery, this unpredictable, hallucinatory nightmare will leave you thinking about Black Swan long after its last shot fades away. Number 8, Mother. Once again, Aronofsky's intentions to fry your brain are continued in Mother. Different from Black Swan in that Mother doesn't initially begin with ominous intentions, but a pure and hopeful Jennifer Lawrence caring for and restoring a beautiful Victorian mansion. While nurturing both her new home and her writer husband's creative ambitions, things around the house change dynamic quickly when Ed Harris shows up, followed by his wife. Things quickly evolve into what can only be described as utter chaos. Lawrence becomes increasingly confused and angry when her husband begins to be more accepting of their guest, as well as the increasing amount of seemingly random people begin to show up at their home. To simply say that a bunch of people start showing up and crashing their home wouldn't even begin to describe the absolute insanity of what unfolds in this bizarre, disturbing, and abstract film. There are two types of people when it comes to this movie. People who think this movie is genius, and those who think this movie is an absolute abomination to humanity that should be struck from history. I myself fall in the first category. This movie fucking rules. Number 7, The Lawn Mower Man. This sometimes silly, sometimes terrifying Lawn Mower Man portrays a more, shall we say, technological descent. This 1992 gem follows the exploits of Dr. Lawrence Angelo as he goes from experimenting on chimps to the real thing when he applies his use of psychoactive drugs combined with, well, the most 90s portrayal of virtual reality of all time to increase the intelligence of the lonely, simple local gardener or lawnmower man, played sympathetically by Jeff Fahey. After initially positive results, Job does start to become intelligent. Actually, it works a little too well as Job develops psychokinesis and telepathy, a supernatural mind power that takes control. After his meds are swapped by someone, he takes things into his own hands and begins to develop more sinister intentions. He starts to continue the experimentation on himself, and the once sweet and innocent Job is completely transformed into an abstract digital supervillain. Think Virtuosity meets Carrie. Innocence is forever lost, and our sweet Lawn Mower Man falls down in an irreversible black hole of vengeance against the cruel people who have cast him aside as a nobody. As the tagline says, God made him simple, science made him a god. Number 6, Bug. Directed by the man who gave us The Exorcist and the criminally underrated Killer Joe, comes our next batshit crazy descent into Toonland, directed by William Friedkin. Starring Ashley Judd, Michael Shannon, and Harry Connick Jr., who was awesome in this by the way, Bug tells the story of two poor white trash souls who take a one-way, non-refundable trip to fucking Crazy Town. After losing her son, Ashley Judd's character Agnes's life has gone down a tough road of drug and alcohol binges. After being spooked by anonymous silent phone calls, a co-worker introduces her to a man who claims to be a recently discharged U.S. soldier. He later claims to have been subjected to biological testing by the U.S. government and convinces her that the phone calls she's been receiving are related to his army experimentation. They then hole up in a hotel room and shut themselves off from the world. As they go further and further down the proverbial rabbit hole, he then convinces her that the apartment is infested with literal bugs, and they cover their entire hotel room in flypaper, aluminum foil, and bug zappers. This film officially goes off the rails when Michael Shannon performs a self-surgery that is still to this day one of the most cringeworthy, gross-out scenes I've ever seen. Without giving the movie away, this descent into the depths of insanity is one of the best examples of what great actors can do to elevate simple material. This movie was initially a stage production starring Michael Shannon himself and adapted to film. With essentially just two characters, a single room, a lot of fake blood, and two actors swinging for the fences, this film makes you want to call your mommy and thank her for keeping you off drugs. Number 5, Climax. Directed by the one and only Gaspar Noé, Climax is just the drug-fueled odyssey you've been searching for. After some brief yet interesting interview-style character introductions, Climax begins with an incredible dance number that will absolutely blow your damn socks off, while simultaneously setting the chaotic and disorienting tone that this film eventually evolves, or should I say devolves into, as the camera essentially plays tag, seemingly all in one take, following one single character at a time as they navigate our party setting. We eventually spend time with each of the many characters as they interact with one another, but as the movie goes on, these interactions become more bizarre, desperate, sinister, and all-out delusional. And there's a reason for this. Someone has spiked the damn punch. Not with vodka, whiskey, or that boring shit. Nah, this punch has been cut with enough acid to cause a deadly psychosis among our unsuspecting partygoers that spreads like a disease. It's impossible to describe the depths that this movie goes, and if you can stick with its leisurely paced first half, you'll be generously rewarded to the unique nightmare vision that is Gaspar Noé. A warning to the soft-hearted though, this movie goes for it in its disturbing content. Just a heads up for the more sensitive members of the audience, you've been warned. This movie is truly a work of art and should not be missed. Now a bonus film from the man himself and my good friend Alex Staunch over at Staunch TV. He has a great selection and I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic over to him.
Descent into madness. Well, I gotta say, Justin, you got some good picks there, but if I may, with my pick, we start off struggling in the deep end. 1993's Clean Shaven tells the story of Peter Winter, played here by character actor Peter Green, in an absolutely heart-wrenching performance, as he was recently let go from a mental hospital and is well aware of his severely growing schizophrenic tendencies, and hopes to reunite with his daughter one last time while he's still clinging to a thread of sanity, before his sickness inevitably takes over his entire mind. Usually with movies like this, descent into madness flicks, there's some kind of external reason for the madness. Society, or ghosts, or something like that. What makes Clean Shaven such an effective take on the genre is, this guy never stood a chance. And we get on film for the first time perhaps the most genuine portrayal of schizophrenia, and literally we see Peter descent into madness. And with Lodge Kerrigan's masterclass directing, this is the first time we actually get to see the disease with our own eyes and begin to ponder in our own minds. Ugh, as I said, masterclass. Clean Shaven also has some of the best and most unique sound editing I have ever seen in any film ever. As the imaginary radio waves ravage Peter's mind, we see him progressively dig into his own flesh to remove them. Whew, all done in shocking and sudden moments of self-violence, all in hopes that he just finds a moment of peace.
Get up, get up, turn around, come on, come on.
It also takes on other genres, sort of, as the film retains a film noir type feel, as there's a detective hot on Peter's heels once he kidnaps his young daughter. And, ironically, another young girl is found murdered upon his release. Did he do it? The film can be found in a definitive Criterion edition, and for free on YouTube. And to this day, it is actually taught in psych classes throughout the world. Clean Shaven demands questions from its audience. Questions that, well, maybe we're not ready to answer. Back to you, dude.
A fantastic selection from Staunch TV. Thank you so much for being a part of this video. If you guys are a fan of 90s films, forgotten television and movies like I am, you will absolutely want to head over to Staunch TV and subscribe. If you're a fan of my channel, I guarantee you'll love his videos. Head over there and subscribe now. I'll link below. Number 4, Shutter Island. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Shutter Island was directed by Martin Scorsese and based on the novel of the same name, written by Dennis Lehane. In my opinion, this is by far one of the best DiCaprio-Scorsese collaborations and has seemed to become a little underrated and not brought up as much when discussing their diverse filmography. Leo stars as Teddy Daniels, who has come to the gothic and ominous Shutter Island to visit the Ashcliffe Hospital for the Criminally Insane to investigate the disappearance of patient Rachel Solando, who was incarcerated for the drowning of her 3 children. Initially, their only clue is a cryptic note left behind in Solando's room. After a massive storm, Teddy and his partner, played by the always entertaining Mark Ruffalo, are left stranded to solve the mysterious disappearance while navigating the labyrinth of insanity that befall them at Shutter Island. What follows is so tragic, so unexpected, and is one of the best reveals of any murder mystery I've ever seen. If you've not seen this film, I'd suggest not reading a single review or watching any trailers. Go into this blind and prepare to be shocked. The performances are dazzling, the atmosphere ominous, and the outcome is one of the most heart-wrenching and shocking of any films on this list. Number 3, The Shining. You can't have a list of movies that discuss the terrifying possibility of losing control of your own mind without mentioning Stanley Kubrick's loose yet effective adaptation of The Shining. Released in 1980, this movie still mystifies unexpecting audiences and sparked fascinations and conspiracy theories amongst longtime fans. This film has inspired multiple documentaries hoping to uncover the secret meanings and metaphors hidden within the film. I myself to this day am blown away every time I watch this movie. I marvel at the performance given by the brilliant Jack Nicholson as the doomed caretaker Jack Torrance. This movie is a masterwork in suspense, cinematography, and mood. If this movie has somehow passed you by, I highly suggest putting this on your watch list, as I can assure you, you've never experienced anything quite like it. Number 2, Eat. Our next 2 movies are similar in theme, being that they both shine a light on the brutal, toxic, and competitive nature of the entertainment business. Similar to Black Swan, the next film on our list, Jimmy Webber's self-punishing gore fest, Eat, lives up to its name and begs the question, what's really eating you? After striking out on audition after audition, our main character, Novella McClure, begins to take out her frustrations and failures on herself in a very, unappetizing way. This movie will have you squirming and covering your eyes at the absolutely disgusting and amazing practical gore effects. I still have trouble watching this movie, and I've seen it several times. Seriously, this movie is fucked. Check out Eat, but my suggestion is don't eat while you're watching this movie. Cheers and bon appetit. Number 1, Starry Eyes. Our final movie is an absolute must-see and a true peek into the dark arts. Starring the always incredible Alex Esso, this movie shows in the bleakest way possible what it means to sell your soul to achieve your dreams. The question is, how far would you be willing to go for fame, fortune, and the adoration of millions of fans? As a young actress strikes a deal with the movie producer, she finds out she may have dipped into a world she never meant to be a part of. As she slowly unravels and quite literally deteriorates in front of our our eyes, we're left wondering how far her depravity goes as she unravels and her newfound demonic influence takes over. No one is safe, no one is spared, and we no longer recognize the sweet girl we were introduced to at the start of this dark and disturbing horror. I now turn the question to you. How far would you go to get what you came for? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also do not forget to head over to Staunch TV and subscribe to his channel. His videos are absolute must-watches for nostalgia fans. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Stay weird, and until next time, bye.